Hi, everyone. Welcome. Glad you're here. This is part of the RARE Advocacy Exchange. And if you could, while we let some more people enter, if you could use the chat to say who you are, where you are, what disease you're concerned with, and because of the topic today, if you have an amazing success story of fundraising or a sort of flop, failure, learning experience story, and you want to share one of those would be great to have in the chat from each of you. Today's topic is thinking outside of your inbox, innovative fundraising opportunities, because one of the number one concerns we hear from the people we deal with in the rare disease community is the topic of fundraising and the need for more fundraising options and solutions. And this session will hopefully give you some less common approaches to fundraising ideas. We've got a great panel for you coming up. But first, here's the look ahead in case you didn't know what else was in the series. We're now on our April session. There we are. And it'll be going throughout up until October. So we hope you'll keep coming back. And if you've missed some, of course, first, I got to thank all of our sponsors. We couldn't be able to do any of this without them. So thanks to all of those great sponsors for making this possible. If you've missed one of our sessions, the recordings are up on our website. The same page you go to register for this event has links to the previous sessions recordings. And after our panel speaks, we'll have Q&A for a few minutes, and then we'll have breakout rooms where each speaker has a room, a unique breakout room per speaker, and you can choose which room you want to join for essentially more Q&A, but directed to one person in their area of interest and expertise. And of course, we'd love it if you share this. You could share it right now. People could still register right now and join us, and they wouldn't have missed a thing. We'd love it if you share it on social. And because we are recording this session and all the sessions, please do consider if you want your camera on or off for your privacy considerations. And this QR code will take you to the page I mentioned where you can watch the previous sessions from March. So with all of the sort of housekeeping details out of the way for now, I'm going to put you into the great hands of Jillian Arnold. She's a rare mom of 2 rare disease kiddos and children's book author on a rare disease topic and the podcast host of Confessions of a Rare Mama. Very pleased to have Jillian kick us off and introduce the panel.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Daniel. I'm really excited about this panel. I'm so excited to talk to Brittany and Kasey. I feel like they're just full of knowledge and wisdom on fundraising, so I can't wait to get into it. And I'm apologizing in advance because my allergies are going crazy right now in Ohio. And so if you hear me sniffling, sorry. So yeah, thank you for the introduction. Let's just get started. Let's hear from Kasey first. If you want to just introduce yourself and give us like a brief background on your why and why you started getting into fundraising.
Yeah, thanks, Jillian. Thank you, Global Genes, for having me. It's an important topic, and it's a topic that most people hate. So hopefully, we can bring some enthusiasm to this. The reason why I'm here is because I have a rare child who was diagnosed 11 years ago with an autosomal recessive neurodegenerative disease. So basically, I won the genetic lottery and not the mega million lottery. Otherwise, I'd be bankrolling my own research. So I am here because of him. I am with Rare Village Foundation and Cure Mito Foundation, and happy to just spread knowledge and learn from you guys too. Happy to be here.
Amazing. Thank you. I feel like we're all kind of in the same boat today with the neurodegenerative diseases, unfortunately. So let's move over to Brittany. If you want to give yourself a little intro and tell us your why.
Yeah, hi, I'm Brittany Markham. My son Damian has acid sphingomyelinase deficiency, the same disease that Jillian's kids have actually. So Damian was diagnosed a little before he turned 2 years old, and I immediately went into research mode. And long story short, found out that there was life-saving treatment in development, and they were almost there, but to speed up the process would cost, they told me, I asked them, how much money do you need in order for this to be a viable option for my son? And they said probably $3 million. And I said I was going to do it. And from then on, we've been fundraising. I started our Please Save Damian campaign and our social media. And we've just been doing, I call them crazy fundraisers. They're just lots of creative, artsy fundraisers just over and over. And we've raised over $1 million so far. So we're well on our way, and we're just going to keep going until we get that 3 million and save my son's life.
I tell Brittany this all the time. I'm constantly in awe of everything she's been able to do in terms of fundraising. I feel like her ideas are out of the box. And like she said, she has a very creative background. And I love how you incorporate that into your fundraising. So do you just want to start by kind of like walking us through a few of your past fundraisers and kind of like briefly discuss your journey? Because you've been doing this for a number of years now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
sure. Yeah, we could go through. I prepared some slides with some pictures because it would be really hard for me to describe this without pictures. So one of the first things that I thought, like when we first started fundraising, I was just like, we just need to do something big, something to capture people's attention. And I immediately thought of being in our city's 4th of July parade. A lot of small cities do this, have a 4th of July parade, and a lot of cities just allow anyone to join in. So I registered, and we've been doing it every year. Let's see, I think we've done it 3 times now. And I just create these big floats that capture people's attention, and I'll usually have friends help me pass out flyers while we're going down the parade route. And that's been a great way to spread the word. And at our last time doing it with the elephant, we had multiple people in the crowd saying, "Oh, I've donated to your campaign. I remember you from last year. This is awesome." And so it's a fun way to get awareness in our community. So these are just a couple of the ones that we've done. Let's see, we can go to the next one. This was really well received on social media. People were really excited to jump on board with this. With a lot of my fundraisers, it's really meaningful to me when I can involve the community that I've built online to participate in our fundraisers, because people get really excited to watch me make stuff. They get even more excited to help me make stuff. And so we went to the Eras tour when it was in Los Angeles, the big Taylor Swift world tour. And I'm in Los Angeles. And so we went, and just right outside the stadium before people go to the concert, there was probably most people have heard of this, that people would exchange friendship bracelets in front of the stadium before they go into the concert. And so we showed up. I told all my followers that we were going to go. We were going to dress up. I was going to make my husband like look crazy so people would notice us. And I was going to bring as many friendship bracelets as many as we could, and put a little tag on it that had a QR code that led to our campaign. And so tons of people wanted to participate. We got people making friendship bracelets all over the country and mailing them to me so that we could put little tags on them. And we ended up bringing over 2,000 bracelets to the Eras tour, and we gave out every single one. And for months afterwards, I would still get donation notifications on GoFundMe or Venmo or whatever with a little comment saying like, "Hey, this bracelet just like came to me, and I just scanned the QR code and I found your campaign." So it's been crazy how
so cool
to see how it's kind of spread. So this was definitely one of our favorite
The
fundraisers.
icing on the cake for this one too is that Brittany is Taylor's doppelganger, as you can see there. Like, just throw a blonde wig on her. I love this. This was a really fun one to watch. I love too how you've really garnered this amazing community of followers through your social media and through your
Yeah.
campaign, and like the way that they all come together to support you in these fundraisers has been just so incredible to watch. Do you want to speak a little bit about like what role community has played in your fundraising campaign?
Oh my goodness. Yeah. And I'm sure we'll talk about this as a group later too, but this community, I mean, the thing is, one of the biggest things that I've learned in doing fundraising, like when we started, I was such a hermit and so like introverted and like, and we'll talk about this later too, I'm sure, but like starting to open up on social media and tell people my story and allowing people to kind of come into our lives has created real friendships, like real people who have my back and people who truly care about Damian, my son, and want to see us succeed. It's been amazing, just the momentum. And on days when I'm feeling exhausted, like I'll get messages from the community saying like, we've got this, like, I can't wait for the next one. Like, I can't wait to participate. I can't wait to, it's been amazing for a lot of the fundraisers that we do now. Like I'll make a shopping list of like all the things that I need to kind of create whatever thing it is that I'm creating. And I'll make an Amazon wish list and I'll post that and say, hey, if you want to help me out with this. And like that, everyone just wants to jump in and participate. And I mean, the amount of bracelets that came in, there was well over 100 people across the United States who were making these at home. Some people were making it in their own hospital rooms, like inpatient, making friendship bracelets to send to us. This community has been amazing. And there are so many good people out there that are so willing to help. And it's just, yeah, community is amazing. It's everything.
Yeah, and I think one of the biggest things too is that people just feel that sense of connection, like they're on this journey with you, as opposed to just like writing a check or donating a few dollars. It's like that like personal aspect of it. Kasey, did you have anything to add?
Yeah, so just kind of like Brittany, or I should say, I was not a very, I'm a private person, right? So to put your guard down and share your story and make that connection and become vulnerable is important. So people understand, who your child is, where you're coming from, what your disease is, and that we need your help. So for me, I wish I would have learned that sooner, rather than later, is become vulnerable, put yourself out there. People want to know your story, and it creates awareness, and that's what we need for rare diseases. So I do have a question for Brittany though. Were you on social media before Damian was diagnosed, or did this kind of catapult you into sharing your story and becoming, on getting involved with social media?
Yeah, I had a social media just like most people do to like follow other people, but I didn't really post much about my own life. And actually, when we first started getting red flags that something was wrong with Damian's health, I was very quiet. Like I wouldn't even tell people, like friends in passing in person. I didn't want to tell any, because I didn't want to talk about it until I knew what was going on. So yeah, I was very private. But when I found out that there was a chance we could do something and it was going to require something that I couldn't do by myself, that's what pushed me to, and that's what still pushes me to share, because it's uncomfortable. It's, I'm a behind the scenes person, not in front of the camera person. And, but I mean, it's my son. You have to, but there's no greater push than that.
I think it's amazing how just hearing you guys talk about this, like all of our kids' diagnoses really have like, I think pushed us all out of our comfort zone. And, you know, like that's a comfy spot to be. But I think it's so important to really push yourself and be vulnerable when you're trying to fundraise because people are going to connect with that. And like I said, like they don't just want to write a check, they want to really like connect with the story and, you know, follow your journey. So I think it's awesome. But I also want to mention too, for anybody out there that might be feeling hesitant or maybe the way we were feeling at the very beginning where it's scary to put yourself out there. Like it was scary for me. I know I had to take some time and I know watching other parents like Brittany, like our kids were diagnosed around the same time and seeing how she kind of rose to the occasion and started sharing and started fundraising, it really inspired me to do that too. So I just wanted to mention everyone moves at their own pace and don't feel like you need to jump right in right off the get-go. Like take all the time you need to kind of process and, you know, do it when you're ready. So let's move on to I think this is my favorite fundraiser that you did.
Do you want to bring the slides back up? I think this is my favorite fundraiser too. And this has become an annual tradition for us too. It still kind of looks like this right now, actually. We set up, so my background is theme park design. I do that professionally. I work part-time still as a theme park designer. And it's my passion. I love Disneyland. And so I turned our garage into what I called Damian's Not So Haunted House. And it's basically like I knew that I wasn't going to be able to compete with Six Flags right down the street from us in their, you know, horror nights or whatever. But and I don't like scary things regardless. But I basically turned our garage into the Haunted Mansion ride meets a Mickey Mouse episode. So this is like a walkthrough for little kids. Like if it's your first Halloween or you just don't like scary stuff, but you love to celebrate Halloween, this was that. So I put in, you know, like animatronics and video screens, and I tried to deck it out as much as I could. And this has been to date like our best, like the most solid fundraiser for us. And it's so fun now to have done this multiple times and see the same families come back, but they bring all of their friends on like from town to come as well. And this has been such a fun, this is a really fun fundraiser. And I will say that like all of these fundraisers that we do, because I am sharing the process on social media, that's where we get most of our outreach, is because people want to watch me make the things. And that's what gets people hooked. So there's like two components of every fundraiser that we do is sharing the process on social media, as well as the actual fundraiser itself. And both are very, both are lucrative. I would say that sharing it brings us almost just as much donations as the actual event itself does.
Gosh, I love this one. It never gets old. And I love watching your process too. Like you said, like people are on that journey with you and you have donations probably coming in through social media and through your GoFundMe of people just watching you do this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I know I'm bummed that we live so far away because I know my kids would absolutely love something like this. But I did want to ask you, so for people that might be watching and they're just feeling like, holy smokes, I could never do anything like that. What would you tell those people?
I think you can do whatever you want. You can do whatever you put your mind to. I'm a pretty ambitious person anyways, but every time we like this year, we added this big pumpkin Mickey thing. It took me like a month and a half to do this. It's, you just have to do things like a step at a time. And if this is not your jam, like this is totally my jam. Like I would look at that pumpkin Mickey and think like, oh, I can do that. Like that is my wheelhouse. I love doing that thing. But like a bake sale, I couldn't do a bake sale. I do not bake. I hate cooking. It would stress me out. But like like a bake sale would be really overwhelming to me. Or like doing a run. I think we'll be maybe talking about this later too. But I thought about like, oh, fundraisers, like 5Ks, like we could do a run, but running is not my thing. And I really tried to put on a run and I couldn't do it because it was not my wheelhouse. Nothing, like it was a foreign language to me. So, I mean, but everyone's got their interests. And as far as like posting the process and stuff on social media, this goes for any social media account, not just fundraisers. If people love to watch someone doing what they're passionate about, and whatever your passion is, for Jillian, your passion is very clear on your social media when you talk about caring, like the process of being a caretaker for your children. And that's really speaks to people, and people get attached to that. I think if you are following something that you're passionate about, people will be drawn to it.
Yeah, I think it's important to really play up to your specific strengths. So hopefully people aren't out there like looking at this like, oh my God, I need to build an entire like amusement park in my garage. I think that everyone has different strengths and there's ways to outsource other things to other people. Which is something, Kasey, I'd love you to chime in on like how Rare Village is a great resource for people. If you want to hop in and tell us a little bit about it.
So I'm more of the bake sale person, not not the carnival parade. I love it though. I love it. And you are so inspiring. So I actually want to see if I can do a float. Of course, get people to help out, but that's amazing what you've done in such a short amount of time. So Rare Village is a fiscal sponsor. So if you are looking to raise funds, but you're not you don't have your 501c3 or you're not affiliated with a 501c3, Rare Village is here to help facilitate that for you so you can raise funds for research as a fiscal sponsor. So it definitely takes a village, and we have learned that to lean on people, to ask for help, and like you said, kind of stay within your wheelhouse, but also ask for help, and other people's may have parade float, capabilities. It's just asking. So
yeah, I know. I was just going to say off the top of my head, I know like say you're wanting to do like a merchandise fundraiser, but you have no idea how to create merchandise. There's companies like Spread Good Shop that will partner with you, and they basically handle everything and they set it up for you. And basically all you have to do is share it on your social media. And that's such an easy way to fundraise. So there's a lot of resources out there like that.
Yes, take advantage of those.
For sure. And I think we have some more slides of some other kind of out of the box fundraisers that Kasey's going to go over too.
Yes. Okay. This one comes all the way from England, from Mel Dixon with Cure DHDDS. She has 2 kids diagnosed with this condition, and they thought, how can we make this different, right? So over 10 days, Mel's husband Charlie rode nearly 1,000 miles on a tandem bike with over 20 riders joining at different at different segments, wearing a lab coat, spreading awareness, collecting donations along the way. So this was an amazing opportunity to get their story out there. It gets the community talking. It gets those tandem riders also fundraising, for the cause. So it's just an amazing out of the box way to raise funds for research. Again, this raised almost $62,000 in 10 days. So amazing, amazing. Yeah. So this one came in from Amanda Moore. And this is cool because anybody can do this, right? In your community. So you have your community and you make it easy for families to participate in like this was 1 cup at a time. So a hot cocoa sale. You set these tables up across the globe and start collecting funds that way. And you share your pictures, your stories. And it's just, I mean, you can see from 2017, $29,000 was raised, but getting more and more people participating throughout your disease community and providing easy and readily available materials on their website, it just makes it easy for anyone to participate. So now they've raised over $266,000 for Angelman's, which is amazing. And it's so easy to do, and it gets the community involved. So awesome idea.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah. We've done lemonade stands, where everybody on a certain day, National Lemonade Day stand, and we all do it, and that's another way to get everyone involved and excited and participating.
On a similar note, Brittany, didn't you coordinate like a yard sale through the community? It was like can you explain that one? Because it's kind of a similar concept, right?
Yeah. We called it a yards sale. And I just made like big signs and put them up all over on our street corners and things. And I asked a lot of people in our community, my followers that were local, as well as people in my church community, and just said, hey, if you have stuff you've been meaning to throw out, or if you're wanting to do a garage sale or something, just bring it all over. So and I printed out little letters and gave it to all of my neighbors saying, hey, we're doing this thing. If you have stuff, you can bring it over or hold your own yard sale, whatever. It will take the foot traffic. And it was great. We raised we raised over $1,000 in just like a couple hours. So it was but it was a great effort to get everybody all involved.
I bet. Yeah. And I feel like I wanted to, and we can hop back in, Kasey, in just a moment, but I wanted to take a moment and just talk about like some of the failures maybe that come along with fundraising, and how not every single, I just from watching you do that yard sale, like I was exhausted just watching you collect all the things and set everything out, and $1,000 in a couple hours is amazing. But also I feel like you were probably expecting a little bit more for the amount of work that you were doing. So let's just briefly talk about how not every fundraiser is going to be like a home run, and that's okay. I feel like it's a learning process.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. I've done obviously a ton of fundraisers over the years, and everything is a little different. And this was our first kind of venture into trying to do a yard sale, which I guess I didn't think it was going to be as much work as it was. So I think that was part of it. But yeah, after every fundraiser we do, I try to really take note of how much time am I spending? How much money am I spending? Mm-hmm. And is there a return on the investment that I'm making? Or is there a better use of my time? Because after having done so many fundraisers, and doing different types of reels and social media videos and things like that, I now have kind of the analytics to understand where my time is going to be best spent. So, but it comes with practice, and not every location is different. Maybe if this exact fundraiser were done in a different town in the United States, there would have been a totally different outcome. You don't know.
Yeah.
It really, it is a lot of trial and error, but I mean, once you figure it out, like I didn't realize until this last time doing a big parade float for our 4th of July parade, just how much traction I was getting on social media from doing these big artsy things. And that's when it was like, okay, maybe I need to kind of focus in on doing more
Like,
of that type of stuff.
This is your shtick. Like,
Yeah.
that's what people want
Yeah.
to see.
Yeah.
I can
Yeah.
say that for us, for our foundation, the ice bucket challenge, like you said, how can we do the ice bucket, and make it unique to us? And we tried and of course failed, but yeah, it's you learn a lot from it and you do realize what you can put your time and efforts into.
For sure. I think it's all a learning process. I'll quickly share one of our biggest failures. I hate to say failures because it was such a cool experience, but
Learning experience.
learning experience. Yes. Our son got invited by the Cincinnati Reds to throw out the first pitch for his 3rd birthday at a Reds game, which was so exciting. And we were like, oh my God, let's take this opportunity and like do a fundraiser. So we went to extreme lengths. I mean, I was killing myself to get these banners made and like got all these bubbles with labels on them for kids to pass out, like as people were coming in. And it was a lot of work. And I think we made about $1,000. And I won't lie, it was mostly from my immediate family and our close friends that were there. So it was a little bit, I think I had my expectations a little high for that one. But at the end of the day, I realized like, okay, that amount of work was just not worth it. And we learned something, but it also led to a news station wanting to shed light on our story. So they came out and filmed during that day. So while we didn't make a ton of money right at that moment, like during that event, it led to other opportunities. And then we developed a relationship with the news reporter that came out, and she reached out to us again in a couple years later, and asked to do a follow-up story. So that was just getting more and more exposure and like eyes on our children and their diagnosis. So you kind of have to take the good with the bad. And we definitely learned a lot, but we also made some really unforgettable memories that day too.
Yeah, and never discount exposure, because that is very valuable, right? Because that can come
Totally.
and lead into connections you never would have planned for. I mean, yeah, sometimes we do fundraisers and they don't have a lot of monetary return, but lots of exposure, which can be just as valuable, if not more valuable, down the line.
Right, because you never know who that's getting exposed to. You never know who's going to pop up out of the woodwork. And yeah, so let's hop back in. I know we have a couple more fundraisers that Kasey wanted to go over.
Let's see, we'll go into the Guinness Amber Freed. This is fun. So think outside of the box, right? You're trying to think of unique things, and it may be a good idea to break a world record, right? Amber Freed with SLC 6A1 Connect had a social media campaign for a mullet challenge, and so they filmed men getting mullets, and it gained a lot of attention on social media. Did not break any records. That's okay though, because people had fun sharing, raising funds. So for this one, if you do want to maybe research a Guinness record that could be broken, it's get the guidelines right for the record breaking. Get comfortable with the activity, and have fun, right? So getting a mullet that's having fun. I don't know if I would like that, but it was a fun activity or challenge to watch as a viewer. Um, there you can get the largest number of people to do a hug. I don't know, you just have to think outside of the box and maybe bounce ideas off of your fundraising committee and get something creative and unique going.
We have a poll that we're going to put up, and I think you guys should all be able to answer it, but we're asking everyone, what role do you personally play in fundraising? It looks like, just looking at this in real time, most people that are answering are a leader of patient advocacy organization or a development director for a patient advocacy organization. And then some people are saying they haven't even started to fundraise yet. So I hope you're learning.
The next one is the power of asking small. So these smaller donations do add up. And Menkes syndrome, which is Daniel's son's was his disease, they asked for $29 because copper is 29. So that kind of makes it unique and special, and it gives, most people are going to donate more than $29, right? So it's manageable and any size would be great. I do this for Rare Disease Day. So we say February 28th, donate $28. But most people donate, they round up. So that's awesome. The WGR Syndrome Foundation did this as well for November 13th. But they did find a problem that the Europeans write dates a little bit different than us, so backwards. So they got that kink out and did 20 for 2020. So the small amounts do add up. Don't take that for granted. Every dollar does count. And these are cool ways to get small donations collected into bigger donations for the goal. So awesome,
Totally.
awesome campaigns.
Yeah, I love that idea. I think it's something that a lot of people might not always think about, but sometimes asking for those smaller amounts leads to more donations. I know, like for us personally, some of our most successful fundraisers have been around my kids' birthdays, where we just ask for like, hey, my daughter's turning 5, please donate $5 to support funding a cure. And 9 times out of 10, people will leave more than that. But I think having people see just like a tangible number, like, okay, that's the cost of a cup of coffee, I can do that.
Absolutely.
They're a little more willing to donate, and that adds up.
It does add up. Yeah. So those are awesome ways to get your foot into fundraising. Let's see the next one. Let's see. This is from Raiden Science Foundation. Tommy. Let's see. He connects with the younger generation by hosting gaming streams and tournaments, transforming these events into powerful fundraisers. He draws a diverse audience. The donors are eager to watch and participate, and they donate through in-game achievements or challenges, things like that. So it's just an interesting way, interactive way for people, the younger generation, to kind of help out and raise funds for rare disease. He's done really, really good work with his charity streams.
Yeah, that's a fun one. And that's just another example of like playing up your strengths. I am not a gamer, so I don't think I could take that on, but that's awesome.
Yeah, absolutely. It's like Brittany said, you know, you got to take what's in your wheelhouse, right? And so these are all just ideas that that worked for some. So yeah.
Yeah. And then can we just briefly talk about the one in space?
Yes.
Because
So
it's so cool.
yes, so he contacted SpaceX and got a disc put together with all of Raiden's information, disease, pictures, videos, and it's on the moon right now. So he has Raiden is on the moon, and it's just incredible what you can do when you just ask, right? And so he didn't know who was doing this, but he reached out and made that connection, and they asked him, hey, you know, this would be a good opportunity. Let's do this. Let's launch Raiden into space. And so they did that. And so he will be on the moon for a very long time.
That is the coolest. I love that so much. Well, kind of wrapping up, do you guys have any specific, like what would be your number one piece of advice to people that are maybe like there was a lot of people that said they haven't started fundraising yet. What would be like a tangible way for them to start that you would suggest?
Um, get a social media.
Yeah.
I know not everybody likes it, but you need it. You need it. You don't have to be on all of them. Just pick one that you're comfortable with, and you can be successful in any particular one. Just do one. And one thing I think I still have one slide left that I didn't share.
Oh, yeah.
One thing that I think is really simple, and anyone can do it, is just have some sort of physical shirt or a car magnet or a yard sign or something that for me, I created like a very simple design that had a QR code that goes to our GoFundMe, and I get donations all the time because of them, and I don't have to do anything. It was a one-time design it, purchase it. I think I got these from Office Depot or Staples or something, and it's constantly, you know, we're stuck in traffic, and I still feel like, oh, I'm fundraising right now, and I am. Like, it's a way of getting exposure out. People are curious. So that's, if you're just starting out and you're just like trying to dip your toes in, that's totally like do that.
Yeah, that's a great idea. Multitasking at its finest.
Yes.
Fundraising while you're driving.
Yeah.
Driving your kids to appointments.
Right? Yeah. That's awesome. I would say, you know, ask for help. It's for me, it's hard. It was hard to ask for help, right? And so people are willing to lend a hand. They just need to know that you need the help. So don't try to do it all on your own. I was burnt out. You know, the burnout is real. It happens, and if you don't ask for help, it's hard. So take advantage of your community, your friends, your family. Um, that's what I would say.
Great.
Yeah, and I think that at the end of the day, there's so many people that out there that do just want to help. So
Thank you all. We're going to open up for questions from our audience in a second. I just want to share a little bit. These are some links you'll get. You can capture them right now with a screen grab if you prefer, but we'll be sending out the slides to anyone who takes our survey. So that's probably the easier way to get these links. The last two are great episodes of Jillian's podcast that are on this topic. And there's some resources from Global Genes there, of course. And just by way of summary, a little bit of what you heard discussed today. This might be a handy reminder later on. And we do definitely want to save some time for the questions that have come in. So I see Danielle Patelli asking, what would you suggest for fundraisers? Maybe that people who are that the fundraiser is less physically demanding, for people who are limited in that capacity, but still want to be active in fundraising?
I say birthday fundraisers, anything on social media. That would be my advice. Anything social media related.
Yeah, and
Great.
like I said before too, Spread Good Shop, we just did a fundraiser with them and they handled all the heavy lifting. They literally create the merchandise for you, ship it out, take the orders, and you just get a check at the end of it. So that's another like really great easy resource.
We have a couple of variations of the same question. Can we get a list from you of resources that have helped you learn to fundraise? So I think we do have some resources coming up in a slide, but maybe I'll get with each of the panelists in an email and put that together for people later on. All right, another question, I think this was meant for Brittany. Did some of your fundraisers require permits?
No. So far, no. There were something like when I was really serious about doing a run, I looked into that and tried to figure out if I needed permits, and you would for some of those things in our town anyway. But I remember looking through like the city ordinances for because I was so nervous the first time we did our not so haunted house. I wasn't sure if having it open, because it wasn't just one night, it was like 10 nights, and I was worried that the police was going to shut us down, but we were fine. So I checked that, but we didn't need permits for that. No.
Some of the other questions are actually about the haunted house. So two questions. One, did you charge an entrance fee to get in? And two, what was sort of your breakdown on like the return of your investment? What did it cost to do and what did it actually make?
Good questions. For us, I decided not to charge a cover charge. I knew that my target audience for this would be young families, and I didn't want people to think they couldn't come because they didn't have the money. And so I advertised that it was totally free, just come. Like if you like, because a lot of people heard about it just as an event. Oh, if you're doing Halloween with your young kids, like go to this. They didn't know anything about it being a fundraiser at all. And then when they came, I had lots of friends and neighbors who do like to bake, and we had a bake sale. So when people went through, they just naturally brought up like, oh, what are you doing this for? Or they would see the bake sale. Oh, this is a fundraiser. Oh, this is for your son. And, we were there to talk to people and stuff. And people were very, very generous. So I felt like it was a great way for me to give back to my community who has done so much for us. It was kind of this symbiotic thing. Like I felt like this is something that I can do that actually helps people in our community. And they were very, very generous to help us. So people would buy things from the bake sale. That's how we made money from that. And most people would donate on top of it.
I also wanted to just mention too, I feel like Brittany really benefited from that momentum, and she ended up doing a Christmas village too after the Halloween one, which again, so exhausting watching you, but but that turned out so cool too. And it's awesome now that you have the bulk of all that done, you can repurpose it every year.
Yes. And it's just adding it. Yeah. The very first year we did it, I was a shell of a person, but now that the bulk of it is there, it's just adding little bits every year, and people keep coming back excited to see what else we're going to add. And yeah, it's great. I think there was a second part of that question. Was it a return on investment, like how much it costs to do it?
Yeah.
The Facebook Marketplace is my friend, and there's lots of Facebook groups and stuff usually in a city where people are just trying to get rid of stuff. So there were a lot of things that I just collected from Facebook Marketplace. For example, part of our Not So Haunted House involves this huge real organ that I added some special effects to. We got that organ for free because someone just didn't want it in their house anymore. So definitely I try to get deals, but I would say the first iteration of it probably cost me $1,000, and we made over 20,000 that first year, so it was well worth what I spent on it. So,
and don't you put together like an Amazon list for like supplies and share
yes,
it with your community too? So people were
yes,
buying things straight off of her registry and shipping it to her.
yes.
So another
things
way
like,
to get them involved.
yeah, absolutely. And people were so happy to be a part of it. One of the biggest comments that I get when I do these fundraisers is from my followers saying like, I wish I could be there. I wish I could go to this, or I wish I could be involved in some way. So things like, allowing people to make friendship bracelets and send them over. That was like a really kind of an emotional fundraiser for everybody. Just the idea of like, everyone's working on this separately and sending it in. And now I have all these things that represent the hard work of people all over. That was a really bonding experience beyond just it being a fundraiser. So, but yeah, people are so willing to help. And so things like our 4th of July floats, which are not nearly as intensive as, our garage thing. Those are almost fully funded just from people doing the Amazon lists. So, but that just speaks to the importance of being on social media, right? Like I can't just go out and ask like, hey, I'm trying to build this thing. Will you pay for this? Like, I don't know who you are. Like, that's why storytelling is so important. It's these group projects. It's not people just giving you money. They're helping you do something together.
Thank you. Rebecca Hall has a question, which is really bringing up a great point, because each of us on the screen right now are in the situation of young children with a possibly terminal diagnosis. And her point is, if that's not the story of your rare disease, if it's not degenerative, but still a profound disease experience, and you're taking away sort of that urgent message of save someone's life, what thoughts do you have that might still create a sense of urgency to get the donations in those cases? And I could see this, I'm not sure if it's Rebecca's experience, but specifically for rare adults that are living a longer lifespan, any thoughts on a slightly different fundraising approach when that's the case?
I think the biggest thing, I'm just going to hop in. I think the biggest thing with fundraising is being transparent and having like a tangible, like, this is what we are raising money for. And I know like Brittany does a good job at that, like keeping people updated. So there might not be like that. I get what you're saying, like that we have that sense of urgency, like our kids are going to die without this treatment. But I think being clear on like what exactly you're fundraising for. I don't know. Does that make sense? You guys can hop in too.
Yeah, I think if people are it's all storytelling, right? Like it's all about how you phrase it. I think people just want to help. I get a lot of donations where they don't really read too much. People, honestly, most people don't care what the disease is. They just know I'm doing something for my son. Okay, I'll help you, and in turn, I'm trying to do something that brings happiness to my community, like aids a young family that's trying to find an appropriate and age appropriate night out. I think if people see you trying to do something that's going to make the world a better place, most people are just happy to know that their money is going to be doing that. So our messaging, I've done a lot of different ways of phrasing what we're doing. And sometimes the urgent message is helpful and lucrative in nature just because people get that urgency. But I don't always need to talk about the urgency for people to be interested.
Yeah, thank you. Another question that's come in is asking, do you see much volunteer and donor fatigue, and how do you sort of keep them engaged and keep the relationships productive?
I do see that. I do see that. And what's helped me is kind of create like a fundraising calendar and have people sign up in advance to particular events or fundraising activities that they are interested in. So that has helped us prevent the burnout and the fatigue, and just asking people to sign up, on a calendar type basis. I don't know, ladies.
I was gonna say, like, going back to storytelling and just sharing a lot of like our journey. If you are working for an organization, maybe sharing different families who would be benefiting, or patients' stories that would be benefiting from your fundraising. Keeping people involved that way, because at the end of the day, people want to know that they're helping someone. I feel like they're less inclined to just like donate to an organization. They want to know like it's going to help this person or this family, and this is their story.
Thank you. And Anthony Cup is asking, since Jillian and Brittany are dealing with the same rare disease in their life, have you combined efforts? Have you fundraised together at all?
Not yet. Not on a huge. You up for that, Jillian? Should
Oh,
we do like
totally.
build a theme
Yeah.
park together?
Well, I can't build theme parks, but I think we could definitely team up. It's something I've thought about for a while. I think like for me personally, I've been we still have our GoFundMe, we still fundraise, but Brittany's on like another level when it comes to
I would
that
say we're
stuff.
at different levels. We tackle it differently, I think.
Yeah, I think my focus has kind of shifted more to advocacy and like my podcast and my book and like other kind of ways to get our story out there, as opposed to like the hardcore fundraising that Brittany does and like putting on these awesome events and stuff. But I would totally be open to like combining forces in the future, and maybe just like doing a big umbrella fundraiser for just ASMD, because I know we share a lot of each other's stuff on social media, and like that's another fun way to get people involved, is to like when Brittany shares something about our kids, like her followers then get to see like, oh, here are two more kids that like we're helping, and vice versa. So definitely something I
And
think in
Jillian's
the
had
future.
me on her podcast. We do share a lot of followers.
Yeah.
And our followers are naturally interested in, are there other kids like Damian, and what are their stories? And so, yeah, I've shared about Jillian. I do think that, and Kasey shared this example, that when, with ASMD, the disease that our kids are dealing with, there's only a couple of other parents in the United States that are dealing with it, and everyone has their different comfort levels of, wanting to be public or not. So there's that, but in diseases where there's a lot more patients throughout the United States, I think teaming up on those efforts and doing things like the hot chocolate example that you shared, and or the was it hot chocolate or coffee, but the cups where a lot of families with the same disease are all working together, or like the ice bucket challenge, things like that. Those can obviously be super powerful. So if you've got a big group, I'd definitely encourage people to get together on that.
And I know we had talked about in the past too, like potentially like pitching the idea to like a news station, about like, hey,
getting
there's
us
these
together.
there's these two moms on like opposite sides of the country that are both raising money for their kids that are one of only a handful in the US that are battling this illness. So that's something, I guess stay tuned, because maybe in the future we'll combine forces.
I will say this is something that I always say: collaboration amplifies impact. So I know that you'll do well together.
Well, and speaking of stay tuned, we want to change things up a little bit. We're going to start breakout rooms. And I know one of the questions we didn't get to is Brittany has talked a lot about the power of a social media following. And I think that's something she's ready to talk about in breakout rooms too. And the question actually was, how do you build a good social following? So for everyone joining us today, you can choose to join Brittany, Jillian, or Kasey's breakout room. And here's a little guide to what topics might get covered best in each room if you want to inform your decision that way. Of course, thanks to Jillian, Kasey, and Brittany. It was a great session. We'd love your feedback on this one. So if you use this QR code, or we'll send you a link, you can take a short survey of what you thought of this session. And once you've done that, we send you the slides from this session. So that's useful for some of those links that were probably hard to see or hard to grab during the live presentation. Thanks again to these great, wonderful, generous sponsors that make this possible for us to do. And save the date, coming up next month is a session on how, when you are in the situation of facing multiple patient advocacy groups dealing with the same disease, are you cooperating? Are you working together well? Are you overlapping your efforts? Hopefully not. So that's the subject here, and we'll hear from a great panel, Emily, Chandler, Pael, and Sarah on this. So we look forward to seeing you again in about a month. Thanks, everyone.